Okay, let's get started. So welcome everyone to Booth Camp. A huge congratulations to all of you on your acceptance to the 62nd Toronto Outdoor Art Fair. And hello to everybody who is joining us online. I'd like to take a moment with you all to reflect on the place where we are gathering. And for those of you online, take a moment to think about where you are joining us from, the spaces we call home and have the opportunity to work on. Wherever you are, we're all living and working on sacred land. This has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years and the traditional territories of many Indigenous peoples, including the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So this year we have something a little bit new for you. So after the TOAF team and your fellow artists are done giving you all of their tips and tricks, you're welcome to stay for the afternoon and join us up at the back of the space here behind you. And we have invited some of our partner organizations to join us and chat with you, including Higgins Event Rentals, NIA Center, and Soho Art and Custom Framing. Be sure to check them out and see what they have to offer. Stay and chat with your fellow artists. This is also a really great opportunity for all of you to meet each other. You're all sitting by zone right now, and later on we'll sort you by medium. So hopefully you can make some friends here today. And a final reminder is that before you leave here today, be sure to grab a lawn sign or two for your neighborhood and a stack of postcards. The postcards are just on the registration table that you had when you were coming in, and the lawn signs are just outside the space right here. So be sure to grab those so you can kind of let your communities and neighborhoods know that you're going to be in Toronto Outdoor Art Fair. So I may be familiar to some of you, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Anya, and I'm the operations manager at Toronto Outdoor Art Fair. And I'll just get my team to wave when they're called up. Lavender is our artist relations and an administrative coordinator. All of you I know already know Lavender, but she will be your main contact. David and Abby, who are in the programming team. David's back there, and you met Abby at registration. Chris, who's at the front, and Carlos, who's at the back, are our production team, and Anahita Azrahimi, who is our executive and creative director, who I will pass it along to now.
Hello, and welcome. A big, huge welcome to all of you. It is so awesome to have you. And again, I'm echoing your words. Congratulations. You have been selected out of 1,200 applicants. So that's huge. Again, a round of applause. Thank you. So I'm just going to talk very briefly about why TOAF exists and why we are here today. Toronto Outdoor Art Fair is a non-for-profit. We've been around since 1961. We exist to support your careers and connect you directly with the art-loving public so you can get your work and your art into their lives. It's very simple, it's powerful, and it's quite beautiful. And we are here today with our team to make sure that you have the best experience and get the most out of your participation. We are here for your success and for our collective success, because this show is a true collaboration between our team and you. In the next 2 hours, the team and your fellow artists are going to share, they're going to share some really key information and knowledge and everything you need to know how to get ready for the show, especially if it's your first time. There's an abundance and incredible wealth of information here, and we've collected really amazing tips over the past 8 years of doing this. So everything you need to know is in the tips, in the FAQ, in that magical artist handbook, and nothing is missed. There's nothing too small to skip. It even includes packing a fresh pair of socks, you know, so the details are really juicy and amazing. And this is all because we're really passionate about your collective, our collective success and your success. And this is where I'm going to invite you to own your success. And I hope this would be the kind of something that wraps up this session after you leave. And to do that, I think there are a bunch of things we can all do. Listen with all your heart to everything that is shared today. Read and read and read what we've put together, as if your life depends on it, to be ready for the fair. And we've invested in putting these resources together. So we really ask you to take the time to read them, and you make your investment too before you come to us with any questions. So after today, we're hoping we've answered all of your questions. And if you have a question, go back to that magical artist handbook and take a deep breath before sending us an email. 400 artists, 2,000 emails, one artist relations person. So do the math. And take some time to define your personal measures of success. That's really key. And ask yourself, make some notes. What does success mean to you for participation at TOAF62? Is it, meeting new people, new artists, giving your business cards away, learning how to be at an outdoor show for the first time? Sales, I know it's a big thing, but that's not the only measure of success. So define that, and you get the gist of it. That's my spiel. Thank you for being here. We're super jazzed and excited to work with you and make this an awesome fair this year. So I'm going to hand it over to the team.
Thank you, Anya. Now passing on to Robinson.
Hello, everyone. I guess everyone knows me, but here I am lavender. So today we're going to focus on prepare the in-person fair, and next week on May 10th, we'll be focusing on prepare your portfolio for the online fair and how to do the social media marketing. So next slide. So I already say it again, but my script is here, so please follow me. So the artist handbook is everything that you need to know for the in-person fair. It will be a great summary of today of what we will be discussing today with additional details. I strongly recommend you to print the artist handbook with you when you come on the Friday morning, and you can find the artist handbook link on the artist FAQ page, and it will also be emailed to you after the boot camp today. Okay, so you also can scan your QR code over there to quickly check it out. And when you have some time today, make sure you go to check out our little Phillips Toolkit on display. It is just a starting point. Feel free to customize it. Also, remember to book your hotel in advance if you need one. We do have a special block rates available for at the Double Tree Hotel. Limited in quantity, first come first serve, and the final deadline to enjoy the discounts will be June 15th. And more information, you can find on the FAQ page. Then make sure you bookmark this webpage that we try our best with our efforts to provide it to you. The FAQ page is where we compile the most common question that I received in my inbox. So please take some time to check if the answer is already there before you send us an email. Also, when you log into your artist dashboard on your TOAF accounts this year, you will also see a button saying artist resources, which will bring you to the FAQ page. So the resources page is a list of the helpful links that can help you to keep up your reading, including helpful article about how to price your artwork, shipping, how to do marketing, and so much more. So make sure you check it out. And when you send your email, please be specific to your question. For example, instead of asking when can I log in, you can say I'm in Zone A. What time should I log in? And of course, you should be able to find all those questions, all those answers of these questions in the artist handbook by yourself, right? Yes, perfect. Good. Okay, the next slide. Perfect. So the rules and the regulations that I will be covering are condition of your participation in TOAF. Both the online fair terms and the liability and abandonance agreements needs to be thoroughly reviewed by you, so there's no surprise for you. Here, I will just point out some key pieces, and you can find all of these terms and the agreement on the website. All of you should have received your booth numbers. So don't ask me, where can I find your booth? Where can I find my booth number? It's on your TOAF account on the website, and also on your lanyard that you're going to check out. You already have it today. We may have to change your booth number, because Liability Square is just our venue for the weekend, and sometimes when we arrive to set up, we may have some unexpected site issues. It is very unlikely, but still possible. Okay, so keep in mind that we reserve the right to ask you to change your booth location if we have to. And also, we also have the right to ask you to take away or array any signage display materials that is unsafe or against the rules. Second, keep a clean space. We are only borrowing the squares for the weekend, and please remove all garbage when you are packing up on Sunday evening. Do not extend outside of your footprints. Don't store anything or install any signage outside of your 10 by 10 footprints. When you arrive, you will see a red tape with your booth number on the floor. Once you log in, please remove the red tape so you won't see the poor TOAF team like me, Lavender, taking off those red tapes around the square at on Sunday at 8 p.m. and also the seat types. Thank you. The first thing is the insurance, because your booth space is your storefront for the weekend. So we strongly suggest you to purchase the liability insurance to protect yourself in case anyone gets hurt or anything could happen. Particularly because this is an outdoor show, it's free to the public. A new situation and challenges may happen that the indoor show may not have, and we do provide an insurance contact in the artist handbook if you need one. The next slide. So the fair hours. TOAF happens rain or shines. That means the artists are agreed to participate regardless of the weather. In the events of the surf weather condition like thunder, lightning, heavy wind, TOAF may be delayed, postponed, or even cancelled to ensure public safety, and no refund are issued due to the weather-related issues. We asked all artists to respect the start and end time of the fair. It's also related to the show end time. Please be prepared yourself to close your booth for sales at 7 p.m. every day and be low off of the square in a timely manner, because TOAF team will be the last one who leave the square. So if you are not leaving, that means we cannot leave. So make sure to keep it in mind. And if you are one of the lucky artists who sell out, amazing. Please keep one piece to be delivered later with a web sticker on it and come back for every day of the fair, because no one likes to be next to the empty booth for the fair. And a lot of visitors have planned their trips to visit specific artists they want to meet. So make sure you come back and make sure our team can see you every day. The next slide. So the artist registration. On the first day of the fair, artists must register at the main information booth by 9:45 on Friday, July 7th. You must be your booth ready and open to the public by 10 a.m. each day, rain or shine. If you see bad weather that morning or the night before, be prepared to do damage control, wait cleanup, give yourself extra time to set up. Also, award judgings will also take place on Friday morning. If you are not there, the judges cannot see your work. No show are taken very, very, very seriously and will jeopardize your future participation in TOAFs. So if you are going to be late or if you are running into any emergency situation, you must notify me, Lavender, by calling Lavender. So if you don't, your booth number can be given away. It is not acceptable to only show up some day of the fair when it is convenient for you. You have agreed to participate all 3 days. Next slide. So on your at your registration, you will provide with the booth signage on Friday morning. So on your sign, you will find your first name, last name, the city you come from, and your booth number. please put it up as soon as possible so our staff, our volunteer, and our visitor can find your way. And no studio name are allowed on your TOF signage, only your first and last name. TOF signage must remain up all weekend, and so the public and the volunteer can find you by the booth number. Do not take it down until on Sunday evening when you are done packing up. So the booth signage will be your last thing to tear down on Sunday evening. TOF signage must be at the front of your booth, not inside or like at the back. You can bring additional signage with your studio name if you wish, but it must be inside of your booth, not at the front with your TOF signage. So reproduction policy, is questions. Is the product that I keep saying, but you should know Toronto Outdoor Art Fair is original artwork only fair. No merchandise like gift shop items like postcard, poster, tote bag, t-shirt, that kind of the merchandise, and also no reproduction of your original painting allowed to be sold both on websites and on the square. We understand, we appreciate that it is a legitimate and wonderful way to support your business, and we are not saying that this is anything wrong with this type of material. It is just not what TOF is about. And bring only the type of the work that you were jury in for. For example, if you're jury in for the craft and design, that means you cannot bring your painting, drawing to the fair and to sell it. They do not have to be the same exact pieces that were submitted in your application, but they should respect what jury say yes to and be the same medium, subject matter, and the style. We do check this for the fair, and if you see something that shouldn't be at the show, please let someone in pink t-shirt or let people in main info booth. So Anya and I could go check it out. We have our guest speakers to talk about how to prepare for the weather and how to do the self-care. I would just say, go to bed earlier that night before the square and keep a positive attitude when things doesn't go according to your plan, because you always have plan A, B, C, and then the things go to OPQ, then you will find the solution in XYZ. So just keep positive. Then this is the very serious topic, artist cohort conduct. We are spending over 30 hours together at our temporary home at Phillips Square. Please treat TOF team, Keegan Cruz, your fellow artists, and especially our volunteer with respect and kindness. Please and thank you and patience when things goes wrong is a good way to go. We understand the fair is exhausting, hot, possibly raining, that things may go wrong. You have a long drive, you couldn't go to sleep because you're so excited. We totally understand, and we are more than welcome to have a respectful, honest conversation with our artists about the content of the fair. But TOF has a zero tolerance policy for inappropriate behavior, including the use of foul language, insulting, physical violence, or verbal assault. If this type of the behavior occurs, the artist will be escorted off from the fair, and no refund will be issued. And your future participation in TOF will be jeopardized. Then I would like to introduce Natasha Kumar, who is joining us brand new this year as a volunteer coordinator. Please give her a warm welcome.
Amazing. Okay. It's been a long time since I used a microphone. How is everybody? Me too. I am the volunteer coordinator, and if you don't know what that is, it means I coordinate volunteers. I find them, I put them in shifts, and I train them. It is a very rewarding job, but I'm going to tell you a story because everything can be fixed with a story. In my garden, who likes gardening? Anybody? Okay, great. Then you're gonna stick to this story. In my garden, there is a bush. Now, it doesn't start off like a bush. It starts off like what you think is asparagus. and you call your mom and you say, hey, mom, I've got asparagus in my garden. And she says, you probably do not. Because did you plant asparagus? And you're like, it's like magic. And she's like, no, it's not magic. What you have is a peonies bush. And you're like, oh, I'm pretty sure that it is asparagus. And then one day you walk out to your garden and your mother was right. It grows into this beautiful bush with long balls. And it looks kind of like an alien. And you're like, there's like an alien bush in my garden. And your mom's like, I said it was a peonies bush. And you're like, whatever, that doesn't even sound like a word. And then one day, you are out in your garden and you're watering your garden as you do, and you realize there is a team of ants all over your bush. And you call your mom and you're like, Mom, there's ants in my bush. And she says, what are you talking about? And you're like, there are ants in my bush. And she's like, again. And I'm like, it's not high school there. And she's like, okay, here's what's happening. The ants are helping your bush. And you're like, well, I'm going to hose them down. She's like, you're not going to do that. Because what is happening is a truly symbiotic relationship in nature. The ants come from the ground, they crawl up your bush, and they lick the balls of the bush. And then the ants take that salve that's keeping that ball closed, and they take it and they go back to their little nests. And I don't know what they do with it. They probably get super high because ants are the hardest working insect on this planet. And surely God has provided for them. And then what happens is without the salve, the flower can bloom. Now, this is a truly symbiotic relationship. Without the ants, the bush could never bloom into one of the most beautiful plants that lasts through maybe one rainstorm. And the ants can, like I said, I don't know, party and get high. Do you know that an ant can yawn? That's a fact. Think about that next time you step on one. So why are you telling me this ridiculous story about my garden? I'll tell you. The question that you need to ask yourself right now is, this is the same relationship between the artist and the volunteer. Without the volunteer, the artist, well, I don't know what you'll do. You'll be wandering around trying to sell your art and needing help and having to go to the bathroom all by yourself. I mean, you can go to the bathroom by yourself, but you'll need a break. They're not there to help you do that, but they are there to cover your tent. Or, and without the artists, the volunteers would literally have nothing to do for the first 3 days in July. They would be aimlessly wandering around Nathan Phillips Square. So the question that you need to ask yourself right now, are you a licker or are you a bloomer? Because guess what? You can be both. So how do you lick and how do you bloom? I'll tell you. Also, these are metaphors. Please do not lick a volunteer. You will be in trouble if I find you licking a volunteer, even if you're like, I'm an ant. I'll be like, you're not an ant, you're hardworking, but you're not an ant. This was a metaphor. Also, it's the perfect time to start to see peonies. They're coming out, right? Okay, so how can you help volunteers? Well, I got 2 fun things that you can do. Post-festival, we're gonna have a party. Come to the party and like serve the volunteers. I don't know what it'll be like. Will it be pancakes? I don't know. I haven't got that far. It's only May. The second thing that we're going to do that we're going to do a scavenger hunt. And so if you want to be part of the scavenger hunt, I don't know what this looks like. I don't even know what I'll come up with. I'll decide at the end of June, but it's going to be fun. I can guarantee, so you'll have part of it is in your booth, right? So they'll come to you, they'll be like, what's the secret word of the yellow orange fruit? And you'll be like, it's passion fruit, go away. Or you'll be like, it's passion fruit. Can I go to the bathroom? So this will be, it'll be fun. Participation is not mandatory, but it'll be a fun party of 3 days, I guarantee it. And it'll be very simple. And I guarantee you, no volunteers will interfere with your sales. I promise they'll be instructed. So those are the 2 ways that you can, thank volunteers, have fun with the volunteers. Some of the volunteer jobs are a dolly squad, so they will come help you load your art out of your car. I just want to remind you, there's not enough volunteers. for artists. So bring your dad, bring your mom, bring your brother, bring whoever to also help you. Also, if you've got extra dollies, does your dad, like my dad, who likes to just find broken dollies at the side of the road, and there's like 15 in your garage just taking up space? Bring those. What else? We've got, that I already said, they help you go to the bathroom, not literally, metaphorically. What else am I supposed to be kind to them? I'll find you and we'll have like a intense staring competition. And then just your status will just go right down just by my own eyes. I'm 47, people. Anything else that I need to mention? Great. Oh yeah, guys, this isn't like a time to go to a cafe with your friend. You're just going to the bathroom, grabbing something to drink. So no longer than 30 minutes. You've been told. I think that's all, right? Guys, enjoy the peony season. My name is Natasha Boomer. Come find me if you need to talk to me about volunteers. I'm going to be back there in the booth. And that's all, right? We'll bring back up Lavender. I wouldn't let them listen to my story first. I was like, you will hear it. And the shock on their face is awesome. There you go, Lavender.
That's a very good story. Thank you, Natasha. So, hi, it's me again, Lavender. So, I need to provide my top tips. So, good. The first one is to prepare the best version of yourself and do your homework. Read through and understand the procedures, the rules, the schedule of the fair. We really spend a lot of time and efforts to provide you the resources and the artist handbook for you. We love to help and we're here to help, but keep in mind, as Anita said, we have 350 artists plus 70 artists online. If everyone send me an email, that means I have to reply 400. If double, it's 800. So, like, save your time, like doing your homework means you save your time for waiting me, Lavender, to get back to you. Second, be respectful. I know during the 3 days first, we already talked about like the weather issues, like it was stressful, like nothing will go correct, nothing will go good with your plan. Like, but be respectful to everyone that you talk and meet, and always have a big smile. There will be a lot of unmanageable things that we cannot foresee, and TOAF team will always try our best to work out the best solution for you. So, your thank you, your understanding, and your patience is what we will appreciate. The third thing is, I ask that, like, please be my eyes and ears on site. Our team wishes we have 1,000 eyes to spot every corner on the square, but apparently we don't have that talent. So if you see something that is unsafe or someone is doing that they're not supposed to be do so, please come to the info booth and let us know, and our handsome Chris logistic team will go check it out. And then the fourth thing is, like, introduce yourself to your fellow artists. They will be your best support and the resources on site. That's why we divided you guys by your song, so that you get a chance to know your booth buddies. And also use the Facebook group to ask questions and ask for the suggestion. And then the last thing is just enjoy the fair. It will over so quickly. Take a moment, have a deep breath. It will be the summer that we are enjoying with each other. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to display. This is the booth signage that you will receive on your artist registration. Make sure the name, the city, and your booth number is correct. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lavender and Natasha. I hope that was a wonderful mix of very strong, strict rules, but a little bit of laughter as well. So I would also like to introduce Chris, who's our production manager, who's going to talk a little bit about the rules and logistics of loading in and out at the fair. So the first thing I want to do is I want to kind of point out a few things on the map for you. You all have a copy with you. There was one left on your seat, but I'll point out a few things too as well. So I'll point out the key landmarks. There's City Hall to the north. Chris is going to point it out for me. Thank you, Chris. So City Hall to the north, Reflection Pool and Queen Street to the south, the stage, which is also the beer garden, to the west, and Bay Street to the east. Keep in mind also the direction of the booth numbers. They start at number 1 in zone A in the very center, and then they spiral clockwise outwards. Then they go through zone B and wrap around the pool in zone C, and then go to zone D, and then back north to zone E. So that's the direction of the booth numbers. None of the numbers repeat. So even if you forget to tell someone that you're in zone E 3 something, if you just say booth number 3 something, they will find you because there are no repetitions. So there are 5 zones, as I mentioned. There's A, which is the dark blue, B, which is the light blue, orange is zone C, zone D is hot pink, and zone E is orange. So your booth signage will also correspond to these colors that you see on the map. The washrooms are located inside City Hall, inside the Hero Burger building. I'm going to get Chris to point that out. We'll zoom in on it in a moment, but there's washrooms in that building, as well as portable toilets behind the Hero Burger building as well. A note about the beer garden, it is open to everyone, including pets and kids, everybody. That's where most of our food is going to be concentrated. So if you're looking for a quick bite to eat, take a moment to hang out in the beer garden. It does need to have fencing. So just in case someone's like, oh, I didn't know if my kids or my pets could go in there, everybody is welcome. We just do need to have it fenced off because we're serving alcohol. There are some other, the coffee, let me point out where the coffee is on site because I know we'll all need to know that. That's going to be the very center of zone A. So that way we all know how to stay caffeinated during the fair. The other important thing, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. So if you are based in Toronto, which all of you have come out today, so I hope that you get the chance to visit Nathan Phillips Square in person if you can, or if you're going to be around Nathan Phillips Square in the next few months before the fair, take a look at these landmarks that I'm pointing out to you and try to figure out roughly where your booth will be. Figure out where your closest lay-by is, figure out where your closest washroom is, all those kinds of things. So I do recommend you take a moment to walk around there and absorb it just the way it is in its plain state, because you're going to be really blown away with what you actually show up to on Friday morning. So take a moment to take that in. So this is a close-up of zone D. This is the most important zone for artists because all of the key pieces that you need to know are here. Number 1 is the main information booth, which is just to the east side of the Hero Burger building. That's where you're going to have your registration. So on Friday morning, when you need to pick up your booth signage and your lanyard and any issues on site that come up that you need to talk to a staff person and you don't see one around, this is where you go. Then behind the Hero Burger building is where you're going to find emergency medical services or first aid. So in case you need a Band-Aid, in case you're not feeling well, the sun got to you, what have you, this is where you're going to go. Also, the Higgins Event Rentals team is going to have a pop-up shop on site. And this is also where you're going to pick up any additional rentals that you want to have. They're going to have a limited amount on site to rent additionally. Or if you are experiencing any issues with your Higgins tent on site, you're missing something, anything about your tent doesn't look right to you, you're going to head on over to Higgins, which is behind the Hero Burger building. In this building is also, like I mentioned, the washrooms. There's going to be portable washrooms behind and then actual infrastructure washrooms to the north side of this building, just south of the beer garden. And it's also where the elevator to the squirrel parking is. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that afterwards. To the squirrel parking, they're based on animals. I'll talk a little bit more about those details there, but it's one of the 2 elevators that are available at Nathan Phillips Square. So I'm going to pass it along to Chris to talk to you about how do we actually get all of our stuff to the tents. This is really key. So
the fun part. Hey everyone. So Friday morning is always a really busy time. Everyone, all of you, all 300 plus artists are trying to load in pretty much at the same time. So we ask you to be patient and just bear with it. It will happen. We have the amazing Dolly Squad to help. You have to load your art in and out every day. This is an important rule because we have limited security and If you leave your art alone, it will grow legs. It will walk away, it will be gone. So unless you've rented overnight art storage on site, every day at the end of the day, you gotta take everything out and bring it back the next morning. And the load in and out, you'll be using our laybys, which are located in the yellow here on Queen and Bay Street. So you're gonna wanna find the lay-by that is closest to your booth. And the way you navigate the lay-by, you pull up your car, you'll unload your art. We will have volunteers there to help watch your art. But then we need you to move your car right away before you take everything to your tent. The reason is 300 plus artists, all using these two laybys to get in and out. So go unload, park your car, which is where you see parking entrance. Come back to the lay-by and the volunteer dolly squad will help you get to your tent. Remember, sorry, I'll emphasize, the lay-by is not a parking lot. If you leave your car there, it will be ticketed or towed. Just be respectful of your other artists. Once you get back there to get your art, the dolly squad will help you get to your tent. It'll be magical. You'll get there, set up, the fair will start. Great. At the end of the day, the dolly squad will also be wandering around. If you need help getting to your car, once you're ready, engage one of them and we'll get you out. Yeah, and one of the main things is just be patient. You know, we're all trying to load in on Friday morning. We will get there, it always does. But just be patient. Yeah, it can be a very stressful time. I think that's it. Over back to Anya.
So I want to talk about Friday morning. So Friday morning, as Chris mentioned, it's the first day loading in, and it is always the busiest and most time consuming, the first load in for yourself, because you have to get your booth set up right. The second day and the third day, it's a little bit less challenging because you've already done it. The pressure's off a little bit, but keep in mind Friday morning, the stakes are a little bit higher for everyone. We completely understand that, as Lavender mentioned. You're not only loading in your tents, but your displays and your artworks, and you're getting your setups right. And keep in mind, we're going to be at battling rush hour traffic in one of the busiest intersections in the city of Toronto. So I'm telling you all this to manage your expectations. Give yourself lots of time. There is a bit of construction that's happening nearby. I saw somebody mention it in the Facebook group. It won't affect us significantly. We still will have access to the laybys that you saw in the photo. We still will have access to the Nathan Phillips Square underground lot. There's no issue with that, but there may be a little bit more congestion than usual in that Queen and Bay area. So give yourself lots of time to load in. The times that you see on the screen here are your load-in times. They're also going to be found in your artist handbook. We ask that you please respect these times. Since Zone A, we're Zone A, I believe here, hello Zone A. You get to start first because it's the biggest zone, it's the densest. You are welcome to come in and start at 6 o'clock in the morning. And this is regardless if you're loading in via vehicle or you're coming by foot or you're taking TTC or what have you. Please get started earlier rather than later so that it's kind of staggers itself. And by the time you guys are done, Zone A and E can kind of get started. And then after Zone A and E are already getting started, the next two can get started after that. Did I say that backwards? Yes, Zone C and D arrive at 8 o'clock because you'll be closest to the actual lay-by. So you'll have less of a walk to your booth. The other thing I want to also manage everybody's expectations is on Sunday night, we are doing the exact opposite of what we did on Friday morning. So it's just as busy, but we don't have a staggered schedule. So everybody's leaving at 5. So it does get very busy. So I do recommend, Friday around 3 p.m., start slowly packing up and organizing your boxes. I'm not saying leave the fair, leave your artwork up. There's folks walking around all afternoon. So don't miss a sale that way. But do just get yourself organized, prepare yourself. If you can get a friend or a neighbor or volunteer to help you slowly start taking things down to your car at Nathan Phillips Square underneath the lot, then please do that. So manage your expectations and also prepare yourself. Don't let Sunday night sneak up on you. We're all going to be very tired at that point, but hopefully had a really amazing weekend together in a much better mood than Friday morning. The other thing I wanted to mention when Chris was talking is there's two different ways to load in. So one way to load in is via those laybys that we showed you. The other way to load in, if you don't want to, you're just like, that's not for me. I don't know how to parallel park. I don't know how to get in there. The other way to do it is actually to go underneath Nathan Phillips Square, park your car right away, then come up using the stairs and the elevators. Keep in mind, there's only 2 elevators. So you may probably will be using the stairs, and please save the elevators for those folks who really need it. Now, your parking pass. So for those of you, if you do plan on driving a car to the fair and having it with you for most of the fair, you can choose to buy a parking pass that covers the 4 days of the fair. It has in and out privileges, and it's for that parking lot underneath Nathan Phillips Square, and it costs $52. And you can park overnight in that lot. So that may be helpful for those of you who are staying nearby in a hotel. I'm gonna just take a pause. Everybody pay attention to this because we had issues with this last year. If you are coming in a U-Haul van, cargo van, any van that is taller than 6'2", which is around this height, it's not gonna fit underneath Nathan Phillips Square. You cannot park there. So you're going to have to find oversized vehicle parking. We have provided some lots, some information on some lots that are available nearby. It's in your artist handbook and in the artist FAQ webpage that Lavender mentioned earlier. Keep in mind also all of the QR codes you need, all of these links we're talking about, they're all pasted up where Lavender is at the back there, so you can scan them. We're really into the QR codes now, so take a look at those later. And so those, you'll need to coordinate that yourself if you're coming in a larger vehicle. That's something that TOAF is not going to coordinate for you. But if you are buying a parking pass for those lots underneath Nathan Phillips Square, you purchase that through us. So we've already provided that information for you. Take a look at the links to see where those are at. The other thing I want to mention, if you are only going to be parking in that underground lot during your load in on Friday morning and during your load out on Sunday night, and you don't plan on parking for the entire event, it may be cheaper for you to actually just park per hour. So take a look at those rates for the underground lot. You don't need to spend the $52. It really is worth it if you're spending the entire weekend, but maybe not really if you're only using it during load in or load out. So for your parking pass, if you are purchasing one, you don't need the ticket that you bought from TOAF when you're driving in. You can just drive in. You don't need to come to the information booth. Like we said several times, do not leave your car unattended in the lay-by. We will ticket you immediately. Park your car first, go in, you're gonna get a ticket. You're gonna leave that in your cup holder in the car. Then when you're done loading in and you come to artist registration, you're gonna grab your booth signage, you're gonna grab your lanyard, you're gonna tell us, hi, I'm here, I'm present. And you're gonna grab your parking pass at that point at the main information booth as well. You only need it when you're driving out. So at the end of the day, when you're driving out. So what you're gonna do is once you have that ticket, you're gonna hang on to it for dear life for the entire fair as your payment. You're gonna, when you're driving out, you're gonna put in the ticket the machine originally spat out to you. You're gonna put that in. Then you're gonna put in the payment ticket that TOAF gave you. The gates will open. Remember to take that payment ticket back out and hang on to it for the rest of the weekend. If you lose it, you will need to buy another one. Sorry. That's the system that we have in place for now. This is the parking map. At Nathan Phillips Square, all of the parking entrances, so the stairwells and the elevators, they all have, they're all based on animals. So you're gonna have to remember which animal you parked close to. So take a look at the map. Again, it's going to be provided to you in your artist handbook. It's on our online. So take a look at which one you're close to and remember that as well. Now I'm gonna pass it along to Chris to talk about health and safety.
Hey again. So we all need to remember that we're in a civic square, a big open public space. There's all sorts of people who walk through there, from lovers of art to people passing through to people who are possibly having trouble in their life. So you have to keep your eyes open, be aware of where you are at all times. Like I said before, don't leave things unattended. And just use your common sense when you're out there. If you do see any suspicious behavior, you can definitely go and report it at City Hall, the main desk. They always have security there. We also will have security roaming around. and in the beer garden. So those would be your 3 points to kind of, if you do see something suspicious, call it out, because we're watching all of each other's backs here. And we want it to be a great time for everyone. If there is an actual emergency, and an emergency means fire, explosion, God forbid, gunshot, anything like that, somebody broke their leg. Don't worry about going in to deal with City Hall. Take the initiative, call 911. You know, make sure that the situation is safe, and then report it, whether it's to a yellow shirt, a pink shirt, a member of TOAF, security, and the information can then be distributed. But make sure if something needs to be done and it's an emergency, just call 911, and then we will be there to support you. If you see, and similar to this, if you see like somebody's left a bag, odds are somebody's just left a bag, but you can never be too careful. Report it, and the appropriate measures will be taken. Please, please, please listen to TOAF staff at all times. You know, there's a bigger picture that you might not be aware of possibly something happened in zone E or zone B or wherever it is. And we're out there looking out for you. So just remember, if we come to you with something that needs to be done, please respect that. And if we are trying to communicate a message to you guys, we will come around, we will have a bullhorn, megaphone, and we will be announcing what measures to take. If you do have a minor injury, there are emergency services on site to help you. As mentioned before, they're located behind the Hero Burger. And if you're not able to get there, there is TOAF staff, there's security around, they will also assist. Security guards will be roaming day and night, but still, they are not your fall safe for your tent. Just be careful out there, because once again, public space. And valuables that you bring in are your responsibility. So if you've left something that can grow legs, as I mentioned before, it probably will, and unfortunately, that is on you. So just be wary of that. Don't leave anything in your tent overnight. I know I've mentioned before, you have to take stuff in and out overnight or every day, but I'm just reiterating, because we do have minimal security at night. It's a large area to cover, and eyes can't be everywhere at all times. So just look out for your own collateral in that way. And to talk about storing your art overnight, if you want to, I'll bring back the lovely Anya.
Thank you. Like Chris mentioned, you cannot store your artwork in your tent overnight. The more of you that do that, the more risk it puts everybody under. So please don't. We ask that you do not do that. There is going to be limited overnight artwork storage that's available for sale towards the end of this month. You're going to get an email. You can purchase one if you want. You can share one with a fellow artist. That's totally up to you, but that will be coordinated by yourselves and not by us. And it's going to be a locked container overnight located at Nathan Phillips Square in Zone E. And so it's not temperature controlled. So that's just something that we want to provide that information for you, but you can, you'll get an email with some more info. Maybe we want to quickly zip through self-care. Again, this may sound a little bit silly to point this out to you, but we're pointing it out to you because it is very serious. And it is something that folks tend to forget or overlook a little bit. So Nathan Phillips Square is very, very hot. Standing on the concrete is a little bit unforgiving. I did have a lot of requests come in for shady locations at Nathan Phillips Square, and we tried our best, but we have very limited shady spots at Nathan Phillips Square. We are experiencing a little bit of construction in the Zone B area where we had tents underneath the overhang. Those don't exist anymore. So we tried our best to give folks north-facing tents and that sort of thing, but we don't have very much respite from the heat at Nathan Phillips Square. So please do use the EMS tent, go inside City Hall for a little bit of shade. Please protect yourselves. Stay hydrated, not just with water, but with electrolytes. Pay attention to that. If you're not feeling well, pay attention to that. Listen to your body, stay hydrated, eat food.
And on the other end of the spectrum, if the weather is inclement, and we've got hail, winds, rain, whatever coming in, I will be monitoring that during all fair hours. And if the system's moving in like an emergency, we will come around and make you aware so that you can either close up your tent more, bring your art in, or whatever's needed.
Yeah, I think that's good. So we're going to really quickly go through bringing your own tent and homemade displays and equipment.
So you can bring your own tent. There are some rules. You have to have a minimum of 100 pounds of weight. It's got to be a white tent. And it has to be approved by the nasty people in the logistics team. So, and if you bring a tent that hasn't been approved or items that haven't been approved, you will be asked to remove them from site and then be told to rent them from the lovely folks at Higgins, who will have supplies on site, but hopefully we don't have to go down that road. If you're bringing in your own tent, you're going to be setting it up on Thursday night before the fair starts. That happens from 6 to 9 p.m. on Thursday, July 6th.
Yeah.
The Bay and Queen Street laybys will be available for you at that time to load in. We won't necessarily have the contingent of volunteers, but we will make it work for you. And remember, that's only for bringing in your tent. No artwork on Thursday night, please. Let's go through some general do's and don'ts. You're not allowed to have electrical in your tent. You cannot have amplified sounds in your tent. You cannot sell or distribute food or beverage items. No items with a strong smell. No altering the look or height of your tent. And most importantly, no balloons or helium. I know it's kind of funny, but it has happened before. So please, no balloons, no helium are to be incorporated into your display or handed out to members of the public. The other important part is to respect the site and keep it clean. We will have a large waste bin, which will be located on the Bay Street lay-by, that you can feel free to break down your boxes and dump your garbage in there. When you do leave the site, make sure it's clean. Lavender had mentioned picking up the tape. That also includes zip ties that are used. Any, whatever you have in your tent, the way it was when you came in should be the way it is when you leave. And yeah, just be mindful of the environment because we all live on this lovely planet.
Sorry, so as Chris mentioned, you will need to either bring your own tent or you can rent one from our lovely providers at Higgins Event Rentals. Higgins is our exclusive tent and equipment supplier and have been our partners for many years. They are truly dedicated and provide top-notch customer service to our artists. What they do on site is honestly incredible. Like I mentioned, it's like watching a mini city being built in a matter of hours. I'd like to introduce Andrew Zimble, the Business Development Manager from Higgins Event Rentals, to talk to you a little bit more about the process. And again, please hold your questions. They're going to be here showing off and letting you sign up for your tent rentals and equipments at the back. We'll have plenty of time to do that after. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, so we're at Higgins Event Rentals and we provide your tents and your other equipment, as you see. This year, everything is on our website, so you can place your order on our website. Once you go into our website, you'll see, and there's a QR code right there, stand next to Brian and Megan, and samples of the tent. So just to give you an so you see what you're ordering, the far tent is package A with grid walls. There are six grid walls hanging from the crosswise. And package B is the tent with the fence panels. You can order the equipment in package B without the tent. So if you have your own tent, you don't have to bring all your own panels if you don't want to. We also have a whole list of items, extra items like weights. So if you're ordering weight, if you're bringing your own tent and you want to use rent our weights, you can rent weights from us. If you do that, what you do is you come to our booth, and we will send a volunteer or one of our team members to your booth with the weights. We don't leave them at your booth because they have a habit of disappearing. So when you want to place your order, and we're here to take your orders today, if you have your phone, you can actually place your order on your phone right now, and you pick what you want, then you go to checkout, you put your name and address. We're in the place where it says venue, put your booth number, and then go to checkout, and then we will come to you. We will send you an email with a link to a credit card, secure credit card system, which is a lot better than what we had before, because we had all these credit cards on pieces of paper, which was a little scary. So now this is all secure. We don't even see your credit card number. We only get the last few digits. So we'll send you a link. Megan is here. And she'll actually send you the confirmation today. The prices do change. Today we've got a special deal to the end of, well, I really won't get around to changing the prices till Tuesday morning, but the prices are changing on Tuesday morning, and then they'll change again shortly before the fair. And we only do that because it's a really stressful to actually get extra product in later if we don't know how much we have in advance and team members and things like that. So that's basically it for me. We'll be on site. Megan and Brian will be on site. Brian will be on site for the entire show. So if you have any issues with your tent, he'll be there to help you. Oh, the one thing I wanted to mention, in package A, we have our pool noodles. Now, you might say, why do you need pool noodles? Well, pool noodles are great because they keep the tent from collapsing when there's a lot of rain, God forbid. But it creates an arch, so the water pools off. With most pop-up tents, when it rains, the weight of the water pushes down between the edge of the tent and the inside, and it creates a very heavy structure which will collapse the tent. So having a pool noodle up there sort of arches that part that pools and allows it to run off. It's physics or something like that. Anyway, any questions? No, I think we're going to save the question until later. And I'll be in the back along with Megan. And so if you don't have a phone, Megan has her laptop and she can help you place your order right there. And we'll process it right away and you'll get an email. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to help you have a successful show.
Like Andrew mentioned, the Higgins team, Brian, Megan, and Andrew are going to be here all afternoon after we're done talking to set you up with your rentals. So please make sure to do that. I want to really briefly talk to you about programming. Why do we need programming for the public? We've got such an amazing showcase of artists that are participating at TOAF. Our event also has art talks, tours, dance and music performances, live painting, family-friendly programs, art installations, and so much more. Why? As a free public festival taking place in a public space, it is an important civic location, and our mandate is multifaceted. On the one hand, we exist as a platform for artists to showcase and sell their work and make a living from their work. But on the other hand, we also exist as a free public space for the general public to come in and engage with arts for free. So we create an event that's a public arts event that's educational and accessible for everyone to enjoy. The artist selection process, so some of those programs that I just mentioned, the artist selection process is by invitation, and they are curated by our creative team and are strategically selected to reflect diverse perspectives, different mediums, emerging versus established, different backgrounds, and new versus returning artists. We know that you'll be focused on engaging with visitors at your booth for most of the fair, but hope you can make it to enjoy some of the great programs if you have someone to offer you a break. And one of the things that you can enjoy this year is in our beer garden, which will be open late on Friday and Saturday. So your booth closes at 7 p.m., you pack up, and our beer garden will be open until 9 p.m. We're going to have some DJs. So do feel free to come along and celebrate with us for a moment, grab a bite to eat, and have a Henderson beer with us in the beer garden. Lavender already mentioned this, but awards judging also happens on the Friday, and the awards ceremony will be on the Saturday morning. To see the full program schedule, you can take a look, stay tuned for our newsletters, we'll announce it there. Now I'd like to introduce my teammate Abisola to talk about the budding art buyers.
Thank you, Anya. As Anya mentioned, my name is Abby Sola. I'm the programming liaison for TOAF62. What that means is that I'm mainly responsible for making sure that you get all the love you deserve, especially online with the artist spotlights and digital programs. But at the fair, I'm responsible for budding art buyers, which is a kids collecting program. We invite you to donate artworks. They'll be priced at $10, $15, $20 so that young people can come and start their collecting career. So you can sign up for budding art buyers on the Google form. There's QR codes everywhere. You could also just introduce yourself to me and I can make sure you're all set up for budding art buyers. Please note that the drop off for budding art buyers is at 9 early on Friday. When you drop off or when you get ready for the artist registration, you'll drop off your work there. So make sure you're available and have your work all ready then. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask me.
So Abby's going to have a table at the back. If you're interested in donating a small artwork or print or anything like that, please see Abby at the very back there. Now we're going to take a very, very quick 5-minute break for people to get more caffeine to fuel up. And then we're going to have our artists, who I know you're all dying to hear from. Our seasoned artists are going to give us their quick tips. Now that we've covered all of the rules and all of the logistics of the events, we know you have tons and tons of questions. A few of you came up to me during the break. I know you've got tons more questions about the reason you're actually doing this show, showcasing and selling your artwork. We have invited seasoned TOAF artists who have participated many times, and they are well versed in the nuances of packaging your artworks, how many artworks to bring, how to curate a great booth setup, connecting with buyers, processing payments, and of course, their own tried and true tips that they've gathered along the way. So I'd like to introduce our first artist, who is one of the most welcoming artists each year at Toronto Outdoor Art Fair, and who I believe it's almost 2 decades now of participation, 3 decades of participation at Toronto Outdoor Art Fair. Let's round of applause for that. Please welcome Peter Christensen.
Thank you, Anya. Yeah, and well, thanks for having me here. This is a lot of fun. I've been participating since 1994. Was my first show at the time it was Toronto Outdoor Art Exhibition. Now it's the fair, and things have changed mightily in those many years. But it's one of my favorite shows, and I'm here to talk about. I was asked to talk about how to prepare for weather, and also some notes on self-care. This is a show it's one of my favorites. But what I'm going to talk about applies to other shows too, other outdoor fairs in general, but some things for the Toronto show in particular. Starting with the weather, it really breaks down into four main elements: rain, wind, sun, and heat. Now, between rain and wind, I'm really not sure which is the worst. And I think Nathan Phillips Square has an ecosystem entirely unto itself. I've seen rain sideways in Nathan Phillips Square. So yeah, so really for rain, I mean, essential things to bring: simply an umbrella, light raincoat, poncho, kind of anything to just keep it off you. Waterproof shoes and sandals is a very good idea. Good, yeah. I always bring a plastic drop sheet or some sort of plastic to cover the art. If you have very large pieces or something, even a custom cut piece of plastic that you can just throw over it in the case of the worst. Things that might get damaged by rain, the labels that you're going to label on. If they get wet, do they run? Do you want to replace those? Your business cards that you hand out, things like that. I always bring a small hand towel as well, and just for wiping off the water. These tents are absolutely wonderful, but water does have a way of finding its way around corners and in, and so it's a small hand towel is essential just to have on hand. Notes about the tent. Mr. Higgins, I might call him. He mentioned the pool noodles. They're a fantastic idea. The pool noodles are a fabulous idea. It's horrible to come into your tent in the morning and there's huge sags filled with water. I've seen that as well. I put in my notes a patch kit for leaks. Now, this doesn't really apply to these rentals here are fabulous, but I have been to other shows, other rentals where a small patch kit, like anything you can see a dot of light will allow water through. I always bring a small step ladder or some sort of step stool, just a folding one, because otherwise you're going to have a hard time getting up to your pool noodles or anything you want to reach beyond that. And be prepared to close the tent completely. If it's your own tent, it's your thing. The rental tents, they do include, you are able to close the whole thing. So if rain is threatening, I'm fully prepared to just shut the tent down. And another thing, expect people to take shelter in your tent. It can get very cozy in there. If there's a quick shower for 5 or 10 minutes, away we go. Wind is the second worst, or sometimes the worst thing I put down here. You secure everything, absolutely. If you're hanging art, if you're hanging paintings, especially large works with glass on them, secure them by 2 points at least. So if it's just 1 point, I've seen things start flapping in the breeze, and it's not pretty. Large pieces will go off kilter, and then they'll tumble and fall. Make sure anything, if you're showing anything on shelves, make sure the shelving and the objects are tip proof. Zip ties are a great thing to have to just secure anything to anything. So zip ties and wire cutter to cut the zip ties. Have paperweights for any cards, any handouts, anything the wind can blow, it will. Yeah. We'll talk about the sun as well. Sunscreen is an absolute must, and reapplied often. I've had booths there where you're actually standing in the bright sun for hours at a time. A hat with a brim is essential, and a pair of sunglasses. But the sunscreen is the most important thing. It'll keep you healthy and happy. Heat is another terrible thing. Water, hydrate. That's simply anything to drink. It can be terribly on a hot, humid weekend. It's essential. Cold water is available on the square generally. I think it will be this year again, thanks to the City of Toronto. City Hall is air conditioned. So I've been at shows where I've had to go into City Hall and just stand for 5 minutes to cool off every half hour, 40 minutes or so. So fortunately, that's an availability. When I talk about self-care, there's things to bring. Make sure you're doing a chair or a stool, something to sit on. I have a high stool, so when I'm sitting, which isn't that often, I'm at the same level as the people I'm talking to. A change of footwear, change of t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt if the weather cools. I bring a small cooler for drinks, sandwiches, and fruits, just things to nibble on. And going right down, getting to know your neighbors is absolutely vital. They're usually nice people. And this way, just being aware of each other. I've made some of the best friends through all these shows. Always keep cash and anything valuable tucked away. And transactions, keep them discreet as well. There's no need to advertise payment options. Everybody takes care of that themselves. And then finally, I'm saying have an escape, think of escape scenarios for weird and obnoxious conversations, which will happen. It's a wide spectrum of people that come to this show. And this, again, neighbors can be very helpful in this. And I find actually one of the best ways if I'm in a situation where I'm not interested, I just sort of go like, oh, sorry, I just have to take this call. Oh, New York next week, that would be great. Thank you. Yes, okay. And that's kind of where I end up. So again, I think most important, just be ready for anything the weather's going to throw at you. Bring stuff to eat and drink, and get to know your neighbors. This is absolutely essential, and I think probably the most important point. Is that good?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce painter Gordon Leverton, who's going to talk to us about packaging specific different sizes of artworks for clients. You can also meet Gordon at the back of the room a little bit later on this afternoon and chat about that.
Thank you, everyone. Hello, artists. Congratulations. You are now ready to sell. And what do you do now? So, besides the obvious, I think if you have some nice packaging, like maybe perhaps some construction paper, some bows, something that makes your special piece of art look even more special to that person who is receiving it, rather than just like dropping it into a plastic bag or something like that. You maybe want to do a card. I do cards for people and I sign them and I say thank you. That's thanks for supporting local art. Here's my email, whatever. You might want to do a little art doodle or something. You'll make it a little more special. So what you want to do after that is, if you have to post, something, is Breakon is your friend. So Breakon is basically, it's like a broker for shipping. So if you have to ship something that's out of the city, a little too far to drive it, out of the country, they deal with UPS, Canada Post, Canpar. You get the cheapest rate through Freightcom. So if you can, and it's free. So you just go online, Freightcom, and they will get you the cheapest rate. That way you can get a hold of your customer, give them the flat rates for shipping, and go from there. In terms of boxing up your painting, there's an insulation board you can get. It's kind of a purple mauve in color. It's used for insulating houses, but it's a stiff board. It's very, very lightweight, very easy to ship. It's very protective. I'll be at the back answering questions. Should you have any questions later. Excuse me, a little dry. Bubble wrap. So bubble wrap to protect your paintings, make sure the bubbles are on the outside, flat part to the painting. Red tuck tape. It's the tape you see often when people are redoing their bathrooms. It's waterproof, and make sure that when you're putting your package together, everything is sealed with the red tuck tape. That'll keep it dry. Utility knife and self-explanatory. Pool doodles. Seems like it's a common theme, but when you're packaging your package, you don't want your painting to move around. So you can cut the pool noodles to size, and they offer a really great padding so that your painting doesn't shift and move around. So there's me doing that. Plastic sheeting. That's something you can do as well when you're shipping, to just protect your painting from extra moisture or whatever. And glassine paper as well. If it's a work on paper, you really want to protect it. Glassine, it's acid free. It'll protect your what you're shipping. So that's about it for me. If you have any other questions, I'll be in the back, and appreciate it. Congratulations again, everyone, and we'll see you out on the square.
Thank you so much for So next time I'd like to introduce artist and our TOAF board member, Nicole and Florette, to talk about client relationships, building and connecting with folks, and interacting professionally. And
I was asked to speak about two main topics. Client relations and connecting with buyers is one, and dressing professionally is the second one. So how to build strong client relations? So there are 4 points. The first one is about communicate effectively and consistently. So timely, efficient communication is key. So whenever you are going to have a show, send out your personal invitation to any clients who have purchased your work previously. And when they visit your booth, talk to them to get a feel of what they value most at that moment. A little bit of thoughtful listening can go far beyond building respect and appreciation, and get to know who your clients are. So try to radiate your energy, confidence, and enthusiasm that you want your clients to see in your work. The second point, share your knowledge. Remember that not all your clients know your work, like understand the intricacy of the process of making your work. So sharing your expert knowledge will help the client understand what you do, and which will build trust and confidence in purchasing your work. And then the third point, manage expectation. Make sure that you don't oversell yourself and promise unrealistic expectation. So by setting reasonable expectation, you give yourself an opportunity to impress the client with the final outcome, and position yourself as someone they would like to continue being your client. And the last point is about asking for feedback. So always ask your client feedback. And it's like you give them an opportunity to express their opinion about your work, and at the same time, they can recommend how you can improve your work as well. And when they are asked, they feel like you value their opinion. And once they give your feedback, remember to send a thank you note to them so that you show appreciation of their feedback. Moving on to dressing professionally. Why is it important and how to do so? So there are 2 points. It's about making good impression. So the first thing that people see is your booth. So the design of it is very important. And then the second thing that they will notice is your appearance. So dressing professionally can help them form a positive opinion and make your future clients remember you. And like their initial judgment is very important. And the second part is about showing your personality, which in a way reflect the characteristics of your work. So you are your own brand ambassador. Your clothing can be a way to show your unique personality and also uniqueness of your work, the uniqueness of your work. So you can differentiate yourself by dressing in a way that reflects your own work. And sometimes you can also wear, if your work is variable, wear it. The most strong piece, wear it. And you can wear in addition to it like a few small pieces. So just to show your client, oh, this is your work and how it looks on the body if it's a variable pieces. If it's a variable piece. Yeah, I think that's all for me.
Thank you so much. So next I'd like to introduce interdisciplinary artist Sandra Tarantino to talk about creating a great booth setup and design.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra. I have been doing the show previously as a painter and now as a ceramicist since 1997. Graduate from OCAD as a student. Yeah, on and off. It's been a wonderful show and one that I always tell young artists coming into school, or no matter what age, even if you are a beginning artist at a later point of time in life, this is the best show to start off with because there's such a great audience and community coming to it. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about curating a booth. And one of the biggest points is to make sure you plan ahead, whether it's a little sketch that you're doing, just a doodle. Some people plan it out in Photoshop. You just want to come to the show prepared that you have an idea of your layout. The time that it takes in the morning goes by extremely quickly. And you want to, the eager buyers are there first thing. And if you are not set up, you're going to miss out. You want to have a plan B and C, just in case your setup needs to change. Oftentimes there's obstructions in different shows, including at TOAF, that, you know, maybe there's a bench that's all of a sudden there on the side where you were planning to hang something, or you have an opportunity for an extra wall space. So just be a little bit flexible with that. Do a mock setup, you know, where it's that you're ready to just kind of put it up and go. I often pre-drill holes or kind of on my thing, so I know exactly where everything is just going to go. I think Pierre mentioned prepare for weather. It can get really windy, very stormy. Usually once a show, I hear a very big crash from a ceramicist, which we don't want to happen. It happens. So if you just want to be prepared that everything is tied down, level, and not going to tip over, that kind of thing. You want to make room if you can, if you do have smaller works, like I do have a lot of smaller works, to create a storage that looks appealing. So you can use decorative bins or something that you can tuck under. If you're doing a table, I've done it even just with an expensive white foam core that I've placed just to kind of enclose a shelf, and then just to have all my packaging materials neatly tucked away. And you don't want to leave your work on the ground. It can get really hot and might damage also your paintings, dirty, it's a little bit, people are walking around, but it also visually might change the way people are feeling about your work. When you're curating a booth, this is Morgan Jones' work. I'm just going to show you a few different artists who I really like how they set up. I look and see how people set up to get by my own ideas. You know, you want to kind of leave a little bit of breathing room, so you don't want to cram it. So allow for space around your work so people can see each piece individually. Think of it as your mini gallery. A larger piece is really great at the back because people are just going to be walking through the aisles and they're going to see a lot of visual stimulation. So you want to draw them in with a big piece. And then you can have smaller works on the side to show that you have a range. And mix sizes, they can accommodate for different price points. Somebody might really love your work and can't afford it one year, and they'll get like a smaller piece and think about something and come back to a year or two later and buy something more substantial. So think of it as long-term in terms of you know, developing your buyers list. And if holding on to a piece for the remainder of the show, just think about arranging and figuring out a pickup time, 2 minutes. Ooh, I'm very sorry, I talk a lot. Signage, keep it very simple, your name. Create, one of the best things is just making a QR code. I can't tell you how many people click on that and follow you on Instagram. Next, just going into the metal grid options, zip ties or creating something or your friends. You know, you can put shelving just to make it quickly to take down and put up your small pieces, something a little faster. If you're doing glass or ceramics, sometimes you need to be able to drill into something. So I use wood, zip tied onto the grid, a thin wood, and I'm able to put screws into that so I can hang my ceramics off of it and it's secure. Chains are also an option. If you are using chains, though, be careful of the flapping around. Use something to kind of stabilize it so that it's straight. Okay, so this part of the really interesting. They created like a wood frame so that the pieces are going to stay nice and secure. You can use fabric. Fabric is really nice when done cleanly and just really nice and taut. It could look very elegant, especially if you're a textile artist or you know, something that incorporates multimedia. It's a really nice way to enhance. And these are just other examples of podiums and how you can use them to tuck in and be very clean and create like a little inviting space that you want to welcome people into it. Sawhorses or trestle frames are really easy to kind of create like a platform. thinking about your viewers. Sorry, I'm skimming through. I think we missed the jewelry one. There was something really great in this one here, and I've started to use this and it's really helped me, is the little having an iPad or a computer that is create a PowerPoint of all your work. I get buyers to send me pictures of my pieces in their home, and it really gives people a visual of what it would look like for them. You can even use one of those apps that creates that in a setting, and I just have it playing and I'm able to generate a lot of interest from that. And just make sure you bring a battery pack that can charge your computer. We're good. Good. And I think last one. So this always checking to see what other artists are doing is really, really great. I think one thing I want to say is about the chairs being level up high. A suggestion is try not to have your two chairs on either side, because if you are talking with somebody who is sitting with you in your booth, what you're doing is creating a wall, a psychological wall that people are not going to want to walk into your booth. But the height is very important. Don't bring a lawn chair and read a book with your head down. I've seen it happen, and people will just walk by your booth the entire weekend. It's not a picnic. Yeah, stay up high so you can engage and smile and interact with your people. And if you're using fabric, make sure it's taut so that it doesn't look like it distracts from your work. But it's really nice. Like here's a really great set up a big image, big piece in the center to draw in. Finally, yeah, the way you do your layout, trying to invite people into your booth is really great. One mistake that I did the first year was I colored my booth a dark color, and in the sun, talk about heat stroke and sunburn, don't do it. Keep it very light, white, light colors with it'll be more pleasant experience for you. I hope that's helpful.
So next I would like to introduce Zoe Zorick to talk about what to do after the fair and turning those visitors into collectors and buyers. Please welcome Zoe.
Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? Oh my gosh, we're here. What an amazing thing. I just want to give a huge shout out to the TOAF team, because this is an incredible resource for especially anyone who hasn't done a show. You are spoiled now because no other show creates a booth camp just like this. So I want to be very clear. So we're all ramping up to July 7th and 9th, 9th. We're ramping up for those dates, but be very clear that the show can continue on far beyond those dates. It's very key, but that really comes down to you. So you can continue to encourage connection and sales through the relationships that you're going to be creating through being on Nathan Phillips Square, meeting your clients. So just imagine though, after all of the hard work of being on the square, it's hot, it might be rainy, you've done all that hard work, but don't let all that hard work be for nothing. Make sure that you can leverage all of the relationships and connections that you've made by following up with all of the new clients. Does everyone have an email newsletter, a client list? Put them up. There we go. Okay, so all of you people who didn't put up your hand, this whole section is for you. So you're going to be meeting a lot of people at TOAF, and you need to start getting comfortable with asking people for their email address. You need to get comfortable for finding out and making those ways to stay in contact with those people. So start thinking now about how you're going to build your email list, what your email list will offer to potential future clients. So it's not just like, it can be randoms just walking by. They might like your art. And just like mentioned earlier, they might not be able to afford it today, but maybe next year or the year after. So you want to make sure that you figure out a way to have future contact with that person. So you need to figure out ways of inviting people to sign up for your newsletter. Also, many people might not want to give their email address, and that's okay. You'll face that, that's okay. So you can use your newsletter to keep in contact with future clients. You want to seduce them, invite them, come be part of your your community. But you can be using your newsletter to announce super exciting things like latest and greatest works, awards that you've won, special upcoming events like TOAF, upcoming collaborations with other artists or other, who knows what. We're artists, we do crazy things. But you also want to be thinking about, much like what the previous speaker was talking about, you want to be thinking about what value you bring to your clients. What do your clients want to hear from you? And this is a way that you want to customize your newsletter and your email list. And you want to start thinking now, try to front end as much work as you can to the event. You want to start thinking now about how you're going to be collecting your emails of all of the future people that you're going to be meeting. So you can have it digitally, kind of like inputting it manually into your own little iPad. It can be a really great thing because once it's done, it's done. Yay! And then everything is super readable because you're inputting everything. It's all nice and typed out. There's cons to that though, because clients can get a little impatient if you don't have everything up and ready. And if it's taking too long to load, you need the cellular data for your newsletter inputs to update into the cloud. You also have to be really mindful of the battery life of your device that you're inputting to. You also have one more thing that you need to really keep secure. So please, again, it cannot be stressed enough. Keep your valuables safe. And this is probably one of the most valuable things and sought after things to walk away with. And then whatever method you end up choosing, if you are going digitally, make sure that you practice how to do this ahead of time so that you can just do it in your sleep. But you can also manually write out newsletter signups. Pros, it's super easy. There's less risk of theft, and you can photo back up your records. However, cons, handwriting can be really challenging, and people will walk off with your pens, and then you still have to digitize it later. You can also use the lure of free artwork, you know, oh, sign up for my newsletter to win this print, which is great because it's super easy. You get more emails. It might be a gateway art to future purchases, but there's many cons, such as many future unsubscribes, because this is not necessarily the client base that you want to be collecting, and can be a pain for future you to coordinate this free artwork pickup. This also applies to sign up for discounts. And then make sure that you absolutely make sure that timing is crucial. Make sure you email these new clients immediately after the show. Reach out before they forget you, because remember, they've just gone to this art show. They've seen so many artists, so many amazing works. And try to include a photo of your artwork so that that client can remember you and remember the work that they were so entranced by. Also, remind your whatever social media outlets that you have, social media connections with your audience. Remind your audience on social media to sign up for your newsletter, so that way you can always have that connection with them in case whatever social media disappears or you disappear from social media, God forbid. But constantly make sure you back up your newsletter list, whether it be from MailChimp or whatever your newsletter app is. Make sure you have your hard copies of those email addresses and nurture those connections that you've made. And thanks for coming out for my TED Talk.
Great, thank you so much, Zoe. Zoe is also going to have a table at the back of the space. If you've never processed payments before with the Square Reader, Zoe's going to chat with you about that. She'll do a demo for us. So if you're unfamiliar with that, please visit Zoe at the back after we're done speaking. So, we are going to move on to our group activity, but we do have two audiences today. So I just wanted to wrap things up for our online audience now before we move into our breakout sessions. I wanted to thank Artscape for this wonderful venue with this gorgeous view. Sorry, online folks, gorgeous view of the water here. We'll send you pictures. For providing us this wonderful space at Daniel's Launchpad. It's our first booth camp here actually ever, so we've been so well taken care of, so thank you so much to the Artscape team. Thank you to Andrew, Brian, and Megan from Higgins Event Rentals for being here to answer all of our questions, and the great rates on the tent rental packages that are expiring Sunday night. So please make sure to get your packages in, get your orders in sooner so you can save more money on those. And also, I wanted to say thank you to our wonderful community partners who are joining us here today at the back, NIA Center and Soho Art and Framing. So you'll get the chance to mingle with them very soon. Thank you to our incredible guest speakers for sharing their knowledge with us today, and all of you for spending your Saturday here with us and listening so intently and carefully. Toronto Outdoor Art Fair is generously supported by the Government of Canada, Ontario Arts Council, OCAF, City of Toronto, TD Bank Group, the Koffler Family Foundation, the Lindy Green Family Foundation, and many individual donors and supporters. We are absolutely thrilled to see all of you in person here today and get to know you a little bit better. And we'll be seeing you at Nathan Phillips Square before you know it. So goodbye to our online folks. We can do a round of applause. Anyway.